Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited for our week 4 book study chat. We're glad you made it to the Zoom.
We're like quiet without Adam.
I know. I know. Adam is on kid duty this evening. We have 2 extra children in our house, cousins. So, yeah, feel free to type in the chat where you are from.
Oh, we got a lot of Texas now.
Some Florida. That's where Connie Ann and I will be next week. We're very excited. Orlando.
Yes, we're going to ISTE. We'll go over. There's like a ton of places we're going to be. And oddly, Carly and I and Adam will actually get to meet each other for the first time in real life after like 3.5 years.
Which is pretty crazy. And then the only other team member that we will have not met is Brittany, who's manning the chat and all of the back end of the Zoom tonight, which we've actually known her the longest, and she's going to be the only one we haven't met in real life, which is crazy. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to head to our page as a reminder. Okay, so we have finished up. This is our fourth week, our wrap-up party on Zoom. And if you've been tuning in, you know tonight's giveaway is our chomp saw. So if you did not get a chance yet to go over to Facebook and answer this question, that is part one of your entry. Part two is being here. Part one is making sure that you answered that question in the free Facebook group. And Brittany put that in the chat for you guys.
So the post looks just like this pink post. So if you have not commented on that post, go to the Elementary STEM Teachers with Carly and Adam Facebook group. Brittany just dropped the link there. And if you're not a member of that group, Brittany's going to be checking to make sure that people get let in. And make sure you answer that question with your any questions you have after the book study or any of your key takeaways, because that is what we are going over tonight.
I just got my second chomp saw for our makerspace. I'm very excited now because we had to share between the STEM lab and the makerspace. So now when we have projects going on that we need both of them, we can kind of divide and conquer. And then on regular makerspace days, it's gonna be a little loud out there, but the kids are gonna get to have two chomp saws to use. All right. So reminder, part one, go do this. We are gonna get started. So the way it's working tonight, we went through a lot of those questions that you guys posted on Facebook and try to compile them into similar questions, go through those. But the whole point of this being on Zoom was for you guys to be able to like interact with us and stuff. So, if you have something you want to share, just like do your raise hand and we will try to catch you. Um, or if you have other questions that pop up, either put them in the chat or raise your hand. Another important reminder. So our Chomp Saw is not our last giveaway. We have our game board still. So hopefully you've been filling that out. It's not too late to go back and watch the lives if you missed any of them. Right after this, the there will be a post in the free Facebook group, and that is where you're going to have to put a picture of your game board on it. So that'll be available tonight, right after this, and then it has to be posted by 11:59 p.m. on July 1st for you to be entered, and you'll be able to get the Pitsco set with that.
Samantha had a question about the summit in July. So we have a 3-day virtual conference coming up July 23rd through 25th. You do not have to be there every single day for the whole day. So everything is recorded. So as long as you are a member, you have access to all of those replays for up to a year. So you can watch them on your own time. You can go back and review um, any of the content for up to a year and still get the credit for it.
And we'll let you know more about that later and our code if you are not a member, want to join, because then you get the summit included. All right, so our first question that we saw was about how do you fit this all in? I have to move something so I can see my screen. Okay. So these were questions about time, pacing, and scheduling. How can I take this new knowledge into my classroom and set this up over a period of days due to having to meet all the other requirements? So this is something we've talked about before, where you can kind of split challenges. And I think the easiest way to do that is to stop with a paper. So for example, if you're using one of our challenges as a starting point for this, is to have a planning day first, and then this way you're just collecting those papers of their plans, and you're just holding like a file folder full of papers for a week instead of all the projects. So that's how, if I need to divide things, I usually try to do it that way. I barely seem to have enough time to fit in everything. Yeah, so it's about taking those moments to like, where can I pause this? What makes sense that I stop here and then pick it up later? I have to get to a library lesson, check out and STEM lesson in 40 minutes a week. Would you carry over from one week to the next if you knew you wouldn't have time to complete the lesson? And then I always feel like I'm rushing. So yes, with all of this, it's about that time management and seeing about where I can make those steps, those stopping points. And then something we talked about earlier in the webinars with the book study was about having a backup plan. Because as we're trying these things for the first time, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take with our students. So we want to have something if maybe something goes wrong and it's not working the way we want, or the kids finish a lot quicker than we expected them to. By having a backup plan that coordinates with it along the same theme or something. Like here we have the very impatient caterpillar that is one of our finish the picture creativity challenge, but any of the creativity challenges are a great way to kind of use up that time in a very useful way with your students. Now, also all the things that we say in here, like we saw, like some people see them once a week, some are every other week, whether it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, all of this stuff, like these are suggestions for you. And then the big part is making it yours. So figuring out like, how can I make this work in my classroom time? So maybe it is splitting it amongst 2 different weeks. Maybe it's over 3 weeks. Maybe you're adding enough things to it so that it's a whole month-long STEMification that you're trying to do based on a topic. But don't get stuck in your head like, well, my time frame is different, so I can't do this. Look at how you can change it and modify it, just like we would for any of our students to make it work. Assessment that supports learning. So these were questions about reflection, rubrics, and assessment. How can we mesh STEM-infused stations with rubrics for reflection? How do you quickly assess, especially with a large group of students? What do your exit tickets look like? How can I utilize rubrics to incorporate more rigor into the challenges and help students see how the goals change as they work through the year? A post-it note is always a quick, easy exit ticket that you can give the students a question. Most of the challenges have some sort of question at the end of them to think about. There's a writing page that you could print out for them, or for the younger ones, something that they could draw. We also talked about in one of the previous weeks, like a quick, just like they're in line and using their fingers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did you feel like this went? Um, Using that time to close out. So setting a timer for yourself to have that reflection piece in it. And then with the rubrics, this was our week 2 freebie where we had these 2 rubrics for you guys. So we had that primary one where it's just smiley faces. This is something that you could print out. I mean, the kids could color them in. These are also things like I struggle a lot with like wasted paper. So you could also take this and put it either in a sheet protector that they could write on with a marker, or you could laminate them and have them. So maybe it's something that you like do a quick check as you're going around, and then seeing what they're writing, and then it's something that's reusable. Or print them like half sheets, 2 to a page, and have them that way. Growing thinkers, collaborators, and problem solvers. So these questions were about student thinking and STEM habits. My big question relates to more strategies to elicit deeper, more critical thinking about STEM activities. How do I effectively teach and scaffold communication and collaboration skills in K-5? And what expectations should I have, and what evidence of growth should I look for? So these were some other freebies that we have for you this week. And we are going to drop that freebie in the chat for you with this link. So there's no keyword to put in this week. So we have 2 different things here. We have a problem to project planner and the engineer test and improve log. So one of the things that I thought was excellent in the book was about asking students what they felt were problems in the world that they wanted to solve, because then you're going to have that buy-in. But like realistically, we don't have the time to be able to look at all these and make something new all the time. So this problem to project planner is for you guys. You can write down what student, or maybe students, because some will probably overlap, came up with a problem. And then look for a lesson connection that's already made for you to make. So for example, I have a student that is talking about like not having clean water. And that's a problem that they want to solve for people around the world. So you could go through the membership, look for a lesson like the Water Princess, and make that connection there. Or something like Long Walk to Water. And then it just has a little check for you at the end when you're done. Now, yes, there's no way we're going to get through all the problems that our students want to solve. But I think it'd be great if we're able to refer back to them and say like, this challenge was sparked because blah, blah, blah. I wanted to know more about how we could help with this situation. Another important piece was, go back, was about the expectations, looking for growth. And so here they're actually logging what they are doing. So I know a lot of times it's like you have that short amount of window to talk about what they were doing, and you don't know, like, did they just come up with one solution, or did they go through the engineering design process a couple of times and test and improve? So this is a great little paper that you can use. Once again, you can laminate it or put it in a sheet protector and they can write on it, because it's not necessarily something that they have to have all the time as far as keeping. But so they would do, what did they change about it? So maybe they're making a tower. And with their tower, they changed the base because they realized it was falling over when they started building up. They make their prediction. What do they think is going to happen? The results, what did happen? So, okay, we made our base bigger and we were able to go up an extra 2 inches. Did it work better? Yes. Why do you think this happened? Well, I think this happened because the base was larger. So that works. So now I want to keep the larger base. But if I still want to start building up, then how maybe do I need to strengthen the midsection of the tower? And it just gives them like that encouragement to test it, try again, test it, try again to take them through the engineering design process instead of it being a one and done. Now, with the problem to projects, I thought this would be a really good thing to also have as a bulletin board and show like what our students are thinking about and what problems they want to solve. So you could do this where they're just putting the problem and then you're putting those up. This could be done individually. It could also be done as a group. You could survey and be like, maybe I want to do one per class that they're coming up with a problem. Um, and you could keep these all the same color, but as an added option, I was thinking about like, well, how can I show the different problems that they want to solve? So here I color coded the option of like, okay, if they come up with a problem and it's about something they want to fix at school, then they're going to write that on green. If it's a problem they want us to solve in our community, they're going to write it on blue. If it's a problem about the environment, on yellow. And if it's a larger world problem, then it's orange. And then with your younger learners, you could also have them draw pictures of this or dictate to you that you could write on the side about it after. But I just think it would be powerful to give their ideas like a prominent place either in our classroom or somewhere in the school where we could show what they're doing and even maybe like mark them up when they come up with solutions for it. And here's just once again that improvement log talking about that test and improve. It's not just a one and done, but it's supposed to go back and forth as you're working through the engineering design process. A takeaway from this was I learned a lot, especially how important it is to incorporate mind growth in our lessons. Another question that was in there was about the communication pieces, and we had those communication cards, the communication posters. So, as far as growing our students as teams and communicating with each other, is giving them the tools to use to be able to grow that skill. So, what does STEM infusion look like for young learners? I find it difficult to visualize how to implement K to 2. Will I have the expectation will I have the expectations for discussions, collaboration, etc. with K to 2? And I'll be working predominantly with K to 2 students. How does that impact the thought process of the students working on STEM infusion? So here's all our questions about implementation here. So pre-K, I had never taught before until this year, and it was a mad dash because this happened in October. So we were told we were going to have pre-K, then we were told we weren't going to have pre-K, and then due to low enrollment in kindergarten, we ended up with a pre-K class in October. Um, and I had to learn a lot from it. And I think with younger students, and when I say younger, like we said, like the questions were about K to 2, this pre-K to 2, it's going to depend on each class and the dynamics of that class. Like the amount of time they're able to work is going to depend on the maturity of that classroom. But what I found most successful was chunking the lesson. So for my pre-K students, we did a STEM challenge. So it was some kind of hands-on building or exploration with simple materials. Then we did a movement break. So a lot of just like videos, up and singing. Like Jack Hartman was my best friend this year in class. And something though that related to that topic, like we said, with these ideas of STEM, is keeping it under that same theme. And then some kind of extension activity. So for this one, we were talking about symmetry. We use paint for them to decorate butterflies by folding it in half and opening it. Then we did the movement break, and then we did the extension here with the butterfly cards. So I think you can also take it and break things apart when you're working with the younger students and then modeling. Like, okay, so maybe they're not ready to have those conversations by themselves, but you can model it um, when we're doing things like uh, think, pair, share as we're going around the classroom. Every time I do it, I make sure I pick a student to come up and model it with me. So the younger students taking those breaks, reinforcing what they're supposed to be doing, and then modeling as much as possible. All right, and a takeaway for this was my goal is to use this line of thinking to guide my students, to drive their curiosities, develop collaborative relationships, and spark connections. So now looking at STEM across the curriculum. So this is all questions about coaching and support. How can I help teachers use STEM integration in their classrooms? Helping them not be afraid of STEM. Do I offer to teach lessons in their classroom, gather materials, or do presentations? I support 3 campuses, so I can't be there all the time to help the teachers. I'm planning on slowly turning it into a STEM class overall throughout the next few years. So once again, we are all in different spots depending on what our role is. And yes, a lot of it is going to be on us to have this happen. So this is our time. If STEM is something that is important to us to step up. Here in Texas, the engineering design process is part of the elementary science standards now. So it's already in there. They're supposed to be doing it. So by stepping in, being like, hey, we have this standard now. How can I help you in your classroom bring the engineering design process? And so this is just how I end up planning my year. I always look at the year at a glance for the classes. I look at the standards. I put those in my planning sheet, and then I try to fit in different lessons that will go along with what they're doing in class. So you're almost building these themes just by doing what they're already doing in a different way. But then at the same time, like things like balloons over Broadway, um, that's my like non-negotiable. Like November, that's all about balloons over Broadway. But then I know third grade always does maps. So I add in that mapping lesson about balloons over Broadway and talking about the route that they're doing. So there's different ways to make those connections. But yes, like the realisticness of this is it's going to have to start with us. We're going to have those conversations and step up to bring STEM to our schools. So, how to do this with helping teachers to embrace STEM. These are questions about integration. I like to blend my science standards with our benchmark reading program. I like the idea of using read alouds to launch a design process or project. Now I'm thinking that the book could lend itself to a challenge. How can we get teacher preparation programs to teach teachers about this? And how can I take my responsive classroom training and mesh some of those tenets with STEM infusion? So for me, it's always important that I have a story with it. There's a couple challenges that we have that do not have a story, but I just find one that goes along with it and put it together. I think it's a great way of connecting. Like when I first started, Jabari Jumps was one of the first STEM challenges I did with all our students. Just about like jumping in there and not being afraid to try new things. And then I had noticed on the kindergarten YAG that it had Jabari Jumps as one of the books that they were doing. So then I took that lesson and I moved it over with kindergarten when they're doing in the classroom. And then they're making that connection. Oh, we know this book. And sometimes you can also save time if it's a book they're doing in class and you're short on time. You could say, hey, can you tell me what you learned from this book? And if they're able to tell you the whole story back from what they already experienced, then you can move right in the challenge and get some more time back for the challenges. Um, Teacher preparation programs, unfortunately, like we don't have control over that right now. But when we have new teachers coming to our schools, we can have those conversations with them and offer to help out as they're coming in and learning. So this question, responsive classroom and STEM learning, I had no idea what the responsive classroom was. So I looked it up, and these were the connections that I found with it. So you're creating a safe and supportive environment where students feel comfortable taking risks, making mistakes, and learning through the engineering design process. Those things mesh perfectly together. We're building essential STEM skills such as collaboration, communication, perseverance, and problem solving. Integrating social emotional learning naturally through teamwork, reflection, empathy, self management, and responsible decision making during STEM challenges. It encourages student voice, ownership, and engagement through hands-on student-centered learning experiences. Establishes routines and expectations that support productive teamwork, reflection, and innovation, and it provides a social emotional foundation that helps STEM-infused learning thrive. Um, so once looking at what it was, I think that perfectly goes into STEM. It had a heavy focus on communication and SEL, and we know from teaching that all those things are important both in the STEM classroom. So, how do we advocate for STEM? So, these are questions about changing the mindset. How can I get my admin to understand that STEM is so much more than just science? Most teachers now believe that if they don't teach science in their classroom, that's fine because they'll get it with me 40 minutes a week in STEM. How do I go about convincing those who need to be convinced that we should move in the direction of STEM infusion? I feel that this approach is I feel this is an approach that should be embraced by the school. Once again, like we are the ones that are going to have those conversations. So going back to this, looking at the connections ourselves, having those conversations with those teachers. Hey, I noticed you're doing this. Like, can we collaborate on this? Um, One of the lessons in kindergarten they do is about the wind. And so they read the story with the kids in class. They do like the observations where they go outside with them with the pinwheels and the wind socks and the ribbons. And they do that experiment there. And then in my classroom, they come, we talk about what they learned, and then they make their wind socks in class with me. So it's all about going to the teachers, having those conversations. I mean, I think for the most part, if we're like, hey, I wanted to help with this, or I wanted to see how we could work together with this, like we're not pushing it on to them, say, hey, you should do this, but having that conversation where you're including them in it and see how you could work together. And I think the more that we do that, I mean, like I know, like when I first started this, I had no idea what STEM was. And now there's so many times that I like see a book or I look at something on Instagram and that like STEM connection pops out to me right away. So the more we engage with the teachers in our school that maybe don't have the experiences that we have, then we're able to make those connections and make it easier for them to see it as well. And then also like have a PD. So I know at our school, and all throughout the year, like we have those first couple days back where they're looking for like PDs, small rotations we often do where they stop by on different topics. And then we have a couple PD days during the year. So have a conversation with your admin and say, hey, I noticed this is missing. And I was wondering if I could do a PD about what STEM is, about the engineering design process to help out the teachers with it. Or ask for a sub for the day and see if you can go through and PLC with your teachers. Go to each grade level, have those conversations, and see how you guys can make something work together. But once again, it's going to be on our plate to make those first steps. So, how are we making STEM sustainable? These are questions about organization, routines, and logistics. My classes are back to back, so preparation is critical. When different grades are back to back, is it better to plan to use the same materials and just change the expectations? Being on a cart and not in my own classroom is a struggle. How do you find the space? What are some routines or musts that you incorporate in your classroom? So having supplies sorted and ready is going to make transitions easier. I have gone from, there's been years I've had 5 minutes between classes. On the perfect years, I've had 10 minutes between classes. We've already been informed between third and fourth grade this year, we are having nothing. It's going to be rolling from one to the other. So, and I'm not perfect about this, but I try my best. I have these three carts, and then you'll see in here I just use some book bins and have them labeled because my tables are color coordinated. So here's all my kindergarten lessons. And so I put all the supplies that I need right in the bin. So when it's time to go, I'm able to quickly pass them out. And then I also have my team tubs. So the students know the procedure of who's going to go get the team tub, and they're able to get them. So it's not nothing that I'm supposed to do. And those materials that are in there just stay there all the time, whether they use them or not. An important piece on my slides when I'm going through what the lesson is, I'm commenting on like, especially in the beginning couple months with the younger students, is like, okay, well, let's look at what we're doing today. In my tub, I have scissors. Does it show on the board that I'm going to need scissors today? Nope, it doesn't show me that I need scissors, so those are going to stay inside my tub. I also just always have her reference my printed lessons out. So the way I have these, I have them all just in like some Amazon file sheet protectors and then report covers. And then you'll see all the books that I have on the top too, because the kids get excited, like, oh, that book's up there. And then I just have it so I can refer to it quickly, but that big part is that quick. So I have the supplies ready to go. I have them put the stuff that's good still back in there and just put it away so that the area is clean for the next ones to go. Let me go back a sec. Okay, being on a cart, yes. I have not had to do that, but that's going to be another thing that you need to figure out. So that could be where you have that paper day. Like, okay, we're going to do the plans on one day. So I know, I'm not going to get to us building something. There's nowhere to put that. So if I just do the paper one day and then the second day is when I bring the materials, and then we're able to build and be done with that. So there's nowhere that you have to store anything. Same thing with finding the space is if you're able to break it up. So there's only one build day, you're not going to have to worry about where you're going to put these. Um, as far as the different grade levels back to back, if you're organized, it is possible to do things that are different. That's the way I have it. However, if that is a lot for you to handle, or you're feeling like you want to like gradually come into this, there are certain things where I will use, like my first year, that's what I did. K1 did the same, 2, 3 did the same, 4, 5 did the same. And then the following year, I just had to switch up the first grade, third grade, and fifth grade because they had done those lessons before. But I do also use this out in Makerspace when we're doing centers. I will have a couple centers that stay there all day, and then a couple of centers that I just put out for K2 and a couple that I put out for 3, 4, 5. So once again, it's a personal choice of how you think it'll be more manageable for you to do that. So, and to talk about these things more, this year will be having our STEM planning webinars again, and our first one, hard to believe, will already be on July 8th. And we'll be talking about prepping for back to school, getting things ready, and giving you guys lesson suggestions for things that you can use in the month of August, or whenever your back to school is. Now, once again, like we've been saying, these are suggestions and it's seeing what works best with your classroom. We will show you a lot of different options for pre-K through fifth grade. And then all the slides are there, and then you can make a copy and modify the plans that are on there to work to whatever you need it to be. So what inspired you in through the book? So these are our positive takeaways and next steps. I'm excited to use some of these ideas in my classroom. I have learned a few more ideas to incorporate into my STEM classroom next year. My goal is to do some deep planning. I created an after-school STEM club last year. Thank you so much for preparing me for a wonderful school year. And STEM is like CrossFit for the brain. So that was my like, ooh, I need to end with this one. That was awesome, Beth. Because we have our little brain pumping weights, and every time we're doing this for our students, expanding what they're able to do, we are making them into better people. So, I'm going to finish going through these last couple slides, and then we can go into like questions or things that you guys want to talk about. Like Harley said, though, we have that summit coming up, and it is included in the membership. If you're not a member, The code Carly and Adam Club will give you 30% off your first month or 30% off your annual membership when you put that code in. The membership is usually $15 a month, or it comes down to $12 a month when you pay the $144 for the year. Uh, they are able to help you by doing like a PO if you're able to do it through your school. However, when I was first starting out, like the $15 a month for me was well worth my money to pay for it because it saved me so much on planning time for myself. So it freed up the time at home that I was going to have to be trying to figure these things out um, by just joining the membership myself. And when you join, like all the lesson plans that we have from last year's webinar are on there. So if you want to start looking at things like some of you talked about getting those deep planning times done, all that's already on there for you as well. There was a question before when we said we were going to Florida if we're going to be at ISTE. Yes, we are going to be there. So we will have an in-booth presentation with Pittsco on Monday, the 29th from 4 to 5 o'clock. If you follow me on Instagram, I have like 9 different places I'm going to be doing some presentations. So you can look up there to see all the different times and places. And this is just something that I wanted to point out. If you live near Orlando, ISTE was in San Antonio last year. And I wish I had known this like earlier so that I could have told the other teachers at my school. Um, Now the conference itself is a couple $100, but you can get into the expo for free. So like last year, if you were with us and you did our book study with the Merrills did a ton of sessions just in the expo hall. So you're going to have a lot of people like that we've seen before, like the Merrills, like Shannon McClintock Miller, Tim Needles. So people that have been part of summits and book studies that we've done, they are often seen doing kind of like mini sessions at the different booths that are in the expo hall. So if you're able to drive, you can go on the ISTE website and sign up for free for an expo pass, and that will give you access to the expo Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Truthfully, I spent so much time in there last year, just like learning. It's not just about going around um, and getting like, hey, you should buy this product. There's a lot of learning to go on. So if you're in the area, make the drive and come see us there. Here's that save the date too coming up. We talked about a little bit in the beginning, July 23rd through 25th. It's all online. And if you can't make it those days, then you can watch it after. If you join now, there's still time for you to watch all of last year's summit sessions before it switches over to this year's too. And at the summit, if you do not win the Chomp Saw tonight, there will be another opportunity to win at the summit thanks to STEMfinity. They are sponsoring this giveaway. Another reason to come to Summit. Okay, just those last reminders to submit in the free Facebook book group after this. Make sure you put in your game board by 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on July 1st. And that's for the Not a Box 10-pack from Pittsco. If you have participated in all of this, then you also can get a 4 hours of STEM professional development certificate. If you have some hours you need to turn into your school, you're able to print this out. This will also be in the free Facebook group after this. And then we will finish the night with our giveaway. But Carly, was there stuff in the, I couldn't see the chat and my slides at the same time. So were there some things you saw? Or does anyone want to like unmute and ask questions or talk about anything?
Yeah, if you are in the membership, Emily, I signed up for the membership monthly. Will that enable me to sign up for the summit? So you don't have to sign up for the summit if you are in the membership. It's all included. So if you're in the membership, once you log in, you can download any of our lessons in the membership. They're all in there. And then you also have access to all the replays of our last 2 summits. And then you'll be able to access, as long as you're still a member, when the next one comes up, July 23rd through 25th, you will have access to the upcoming new summit. Um,
And I see Mary is on here. Mary's doing a session that I'm into at ISTE.
the book study certificate, if that's what you're talking about, Ginger, will just be in the Facebook group. Yeah, it'll be in there. I don't I don't think we take it out. Um, yeah. So if people wanted to be sneaky, you could probably Google or search in the Facebook group and find all the other certificates from all of our other book studies and download them, but I'm sure we're all honest people here.
Christy, ISTE is international, so there's nothing specific in New York um, that I know of. But if you post that on our group page on Facebook about other ideas that maybe other people in the tri-state area have gone to, you may be able to get some feedback from other members.
It'll be a little closer next year though, right? You said it's in
Yeah, next year is
Boston
going to be in
next year.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston. Okay, so what I did is I put in a random number generator, one to however many comments were on this post. And I did that 4 times. So we have some backups. So the first name that came up is Jennifer Keating. Jennifer Keating, are you on the live? I did not see you, but you could have been hiding somewhere. Is Jennifer? Oh, yay! You are the winner of the Chomp Saw. Send us an email at info@carlyandadamblog.com and we will ship you your chomp saw. And again, if you did not win tonight, thanks to STEMfinity, they have donated another chomp saw. So if you've done the summits before, you know how that's set up, that you just will follow STEMfinity on their accounts using the giveaway platform, and then we'll choose a winner to win that chomp saw as well. So you have another opportunity. If you missed something and you're not a member, the replays are up on Facebook for a month, I believe, and then Facebook deletes them. If you are a member, there's a book study section on the membership. So all these replays, all the resources are being uploaded to that book study section, and you can access them there. Also, if you're like, this book study was great, I would love to read another book this summer. All of our previous book study replays are on there as well. Um, yeah. If you are in Orlando next week, we are looking forward to hanging out with you. Otherwise, we will catch you all hopefully at the next planning webinar on July 8th.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yes, the certificate for the book study is in the Elementary STEM Teachers with Carly and Adam Facebook group. I think it should already be posted. So if you head on over, if you've done everything, watched all the videos, you can head over to the Elementary STEM Teachers with Carly and Adam group. If your game board's done, there should be a thread in there for you to post it on, and the certificate should be posted in the group. Let us know if it's not there, and we will get it in there.